Welcome to the Path Monk Presents podcast. My name is Sean Donnelly Lewis, and in today's episode, we're speaking with Amber Fehrenbacher, and she is the marketing director at FlowCast.ai. Amber, how's it going?
It's good. How are you? I am doing well. Like I said, just recovering from my second vaccine shot. So feeling better now. But about 12 hours ago, I thought, I was like, "You're a mom. Get it together. Get it together." But no, good. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're going to feel better in the future, but and that you're able to pull yourself together for the episode. I promise it'll be totally painless.
Good deal. Sounds good.
FlowCast.ai. What do you guys do?
Yes, this FlowCast is a fintech company. It is a AI powered fintech company. And so what does that mean? So let me break it down, kind of going back. And if you kind of look back about 5 years in it's 6 years now, 2015, the company came out of the Alchemist Accelerator, which is Stanford's accelerator. And it's their tech accelerator. And so essentially they started working with large enterprise clients. Some of those clients include like Nike, HSBC, ING Ventures, or ING Bank, which is also one of our backers on the VC side. Hitachi is on there, Standard Chartered. So a lot of these big global enterprise companies and big banks, they started using our AI. And what we do is essentially help them assess credit risk a little bit more intuitively and a little bit more intelligently. So we kind of just parse different data that they have, and we kind of come in and help to understand like what borrower risk is there, and just help more intuitively and intelligently define what that means for the bank as it writes that risk. So that's kind of where the company comes in from the enterprise side, and that's what we call our EAS, our enterprise AI powered solution. And so then kind of like about a year ago, they realized that why don't we unlock this opportunity for small businesses? And so really kind of what we're doing now, and I came on to power Tillful, which is a product that's on the consumer side. If you're going to say like it's B2B, B2C, it's kind of, it's gray area when it gets into that. But essentially, it's the Credit Karma for small businesses. So we're just trying to find ways to help, democratize credit for the business owner. A lot of what happens is that there's tons of companies that get completely they don't have that access to funding, whether they get turned down because the bank, the current credit system for businesses is very broken. And so what we're trying to do is come in and really represent those that like can't have that access to it. They actually might be qualified, but they're not getting like other areas of bank data like taken into account for them that really deems them a good borrower, like a really healthy looking borrower, so they can get that capital to grow their business. And so that's really what Tillful and FlowCast are trying to do right now.
Very cool. That's a lot. So thinking about how you've been able to grow the company, what's been kind of the acquisition channels? Has it been about a lot of outbound? Has it been a lot of inbound? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So, the site, I was brought on about 5-6 weeks ago, so I'm pretty green to the space, but, a lot of what it's been has been a push-pull method. A lot of Facebook ads, Google ads, a lot of organic content has been coming out, a lot of SEO, PPC, kind of the standard, like basic core ones that you grab whenever you're first starting out. So yeah, I would say it's been about a 60-40 split between like paid and organic to this date. So really kind of what my job is to come in and really invest more in the organic side, grow some more like green content for SEO, not rely so heavily on paid ads to like be the way that we get business and become more of a resource, which is really kind of my MO. I've kind of found that like I'm like the early stage marketer, and I didn't really ever mean to be this person, but I kind of what I keep getting hired for is to come in at the very beginning for a company that people really have never heard of, and so hopefully they can hear about them later. So,
and thinking about the website, talk about the role that plays in acquiring new clients.
Yeah, so the website is like, the reason that I was hired for this job, I think, is because I did something very similar when I was at suretybonds.com, which is like the number one like surety bond website that you can get like a surety bond policy from. It's like a really niche like insurance product. And so my former post, I was at a company called Equipment Share, which is a YC company. And we had like an outside sales model and an outside business, like the model is very much like dependent on outside sales, whereas the website was more like a brand support mechanism. It really wasn't there to like essentially be the one and all for generating business. Whereas, with Tillful, the website does play like the only role in getting business in, because it's how you sign up to become like a free user. So our services to monitor your business credit and get your credit report are completely free. So yeah, we're launching a mobile app here shortly. So essentially, like it's the biggest component of our entire journey is the website.
And talk about the website for a second. What would you say is the strength of the website? Is it the ability to convert customers, the quality of leads, or the user experience?
I think it's all those things, so I think, yeah, I would
Everybody
say,
says that. Everybody could say that.
right, yeah, I'm like, well, you can't just say, yeah. No, it's definitely all those things. And so we're looking, the great thing that I love about FlowCast so far is that they have these like brilliant data scientists there. And like, I am like the stupidest person there for sure. Like we have such an amazing team. Like one of our data scientists, he was like at Amazon, doing R&D for Alexa, like before I want to say when I was in diapers, like, years ago, before I even knew like what it was. Like I have all these like Alexas in my home now. And I'm always like looking at Alex and I'm like, are you there whenever they decided this, just thinking. And so, and he would get Google in 2008, whenever he was looking at like deep learning and deep like machine learning for them. And so, the great thing about FlowCast is they're so interested in data. And so I love data. And I just think it's like the only way that you should build things. And like, it's kind of been hard coming from a company I used to work for that said they were a data company and we like didn't use data for any decision making. It was making me a bit crazy. And so with, FlowCast, I think that everyone's very, very invested in like collecting a lot of data, excited about the year ahead that's going to be like just driving more business so we can use that business to build like these models and essentially insert AI into it to understand our user better, and then being very cognizant of those ethics while we do it. So as far as like what's more important, I think it's all just like it's all important. And so I'm excited to see where the data leads us.
And so usually when I have a marketeer on the show, they can tell me, well, they actually say that the strengths are short, but the room for improvement on the website is a long list. If you were to improve one of the processes on the website, what would it be? Would it be the conversions? Would it be the quality of leads? Would it be the user experience?
I know right now, like it's so green, like it's really everything. I mean, you talk about the user experience, that's the entire website, right? Like that's like as soon as you land on it to like when you interface with the app, when you get an email, like that's the whole, you own that whole journey. Like it's not really a component of the website, it's like the entire website. So I really like to keep that as like a separate bucket. Well, quality of leads, that's important. I would say right now our biggest focus is going to be low hanging fruit, which is what I like to call, which is like where we've got a lot of traffic, but there's probably some really small things that we can do, like form optimizations, adding some trust elements on the page, adding some trust elements on the forms, making sure they know that we're not going to steal their data or share their data, things like that. So that's kind of what my team is going to be focused on the months coming. And then longer term, kind of looking at like doing like more larger overhauls to pages and things like that.
And coming back to the service that you guys offer, just for everyone listening, what would you say separates you guys from the other people that occupy the same space? What do you guys do just a little differently?
Yeah, so there's really nobody that does exactly what we do, which is a really great thing. Your traditional companies that you're going to be getting your credit report from is going to be, for business at least, is going to be like your Dun & Bradstreet, your Experian. You have to pay for your business credit report, which is really broken. The current credit system is broken anyway for consumers, but it's even more broken for businesses. So what we're going to be doing is coming in and offering you to monitor that for free. It's your data. You should have access to it. You should know what it is. And you should be able to find ways to improve it. And you should be able to find ways to get access to loans, to get financing. And so, yeah, I would say that our model just is intrinsically different because it's free. And then also that it is essentially taking into account like your bank data to say, hey, did you pay your rent on time? Did you pay, your utility bill on time? Okay, let's give you credit for that. Like you are a good steward of this money. We want to know more than like, looking at just your personal credit report to be a guide of if you're going to be a good steward of this money. And so, yeah, just taking into a more holistic set of data points to understand like who you are as a borrower.
So there's the part in the show where I just pick your brain as a marketeer. So when I say something like innovation, what would you say is the biggest challenge in marketing to innovation?
Just like within the marketing industry, would you
Yeah,
say?
or something you've seen, or even an idea you have, or a problem that you've noticed.
I think that something that I would love to find a better solution for just in general, and I think a lot of marketers can really relate to this, is like that attribution issue that you get whenever you have like an offline sales, like your sales cycle essentially breaks and goes to and passed off to an offline person. So my former post at Equipment Share, we had a SaaS model, we had a SaaS product that we had an offline sales team, like an outside sales team, go and like nurture the lead after we got the lead to them. And a lot of that like activity would just drop off. And a lot of that is only reliant on how good your sales team is or how bought in they are to a process. So I would say, anytime that you have a sales cycle that breaks off into like the real world from the digital world, that can be really tough for your attribution efforts.
And thinking about something like ROI, what would you say is the biggest challenge for marketeers when it comes to ROI?
I would say the same thing, just because, with that, anytime, if you've got an e-commerce model, right? So you've got like somebody shopping on your online store for Shopify, and they're going to buy, your product, you can see exactly what they do because they pay you. Like, exactly where your dollars are going, what channel they came in. Whereas if you've got a longer drawn out sales cycle, like we used to do equipment rentals, and we used to do essentially like IoT for construction. And whenever you have that kind of arena, like you just don't know, like, did this person come in through a phone lead that we paid for? Did they just see it on the website? Was it organic? Did they just see it from, was it a Google like phone ad extension, or was it just like, did they see it through a Google business listing that was free? Whenever you have things happening outside of the laptop, or the phone, that gets very, very difficult. So I would say just, cross device tracking, and then also just like offline events are always going to be difficult for ROI.
And so just thinking about the different steps in marketing, if you were to focus on one to improve the whole process, which one to you stands out head and shoulders above the rest? Is it the road mapping? Is it the growth initiatives, the messaging, or the reporting?
Gosh, I think I hate to say this because it sounds so bad, but I think it's all of it. I really do. And that's maybe my generalist speaking. Like, I'm such a generalist. Like, thank God I'm like a marketing like director, because if I wasn't, like, I'd be very unmarketable as like a marketing person, because I know so much about top level things. But I would say that it really probably comes down to, it depends on the stage, but since we're talking about the early stage, I think messaging is going to be the biggest thing, because it's like, who are you? Like, there's so much noise out there. And I think, we're having a lot of interesting conversations right now at the company. Like what does Tilful want to say, and why should people care? And my biggest thing that I tell my team, that I tell anybody around me that will listen, is if you're going to put copy onto anything about the brand, you need to apply the why should I care test to it. And that's just simply looking at words and saying, like, so what? So why should I care? And if there's something compelling enough there, then you run with it. But if it's not, like, there's gotta be like that meat and potatoes to it, or else like, people just won't, they won't really like, care. And so, there's some brands that we're looking at, I think they're doing it really well, like Elevest. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're like a women's wealth management platform. Their brand messaging is super strong, super memorable, and they're all about just like helping empower women through financial management and wealth management. And so they're teaching people about, like, teaching women specifically how to grow their net worth, teaching women how to, like, open up investment accounts and understand what that means. And like, their branding is just excellent. So we're trying to become a memorable brand. And I think we're going to have to be a bit louder in our messaging to do that. So I'm excited for the months ahead.
Cool. Just want to switch gears here for a second and talk about you as a leader. What kind of content do you consume to educate yourself and grow as a person and as a professional?
Yeah. So I'm a big Medium reader, so I like a lot of stuff on Medium, Twitter. I'm actually in a Reforge class right now. It's actually, I don't know if you've heard about the Reforge program, but it's a marketing product program through Andreessen Horowitz. It's one of their portfolio companies, but they offer this like product marketing, growth marketing type of just course that you can apply and get opted into, and it's kind of self-driven, but like you have all these like different courses that you can take. And so it's taught by a lot of people like Airbnb, DoorDash, Facebook, Twitter, a lot of their product people. And so That's what I'm kind of looking at now. Trying to think, I find a lot of great things on Twitter. Like, I think that Twitter marketing is really, really good. I'm trying to think, like Larry Kim always has some really excellent stuff. Andrew Chen as well. I'm trying to think of other people, but yeah, at the top of my head, those are the ones that kind of stick out at the moment.
Are you a podcast person?
I just recently got into listening to podcasts. And so I actually have been listening to like a lot of like startup operator type stuff. Like there's some really good stuff on, like there's Gray Matter, like Greylock has one called Gray Matter that's been really good. How I Built This from NPR is one of the ones I've been listening to. And so yeah, I actually like never had an opportunity to listen to podcasts just because I was like, because I'm a mom, so I've got 2 kids. And so like, I can't just like be listening to podcasts like during the day. But then when I was working, it was really hard for me to listen to podcasts where I was like typing emails. But whenever we got a new car and like, for some reason, like the podcast feature is just like really easy to access through there. So when I've been like going and doing errands, I've been listening to podcasts more in my car. So I don't know.
For some reason, it's easy to do, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason for it, I'm sure. All right, we're slowly coming to the end of the episode. But before we end, I just want to throw some rapid fire questions at you. So just short and sweet, but answer as honestly as possible.
Okay.
All right. What's the last book that you read, Amber?
The WeWork book.
Okay. What's the single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
Building a team.
If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
That's a tough one. Remote work challenges probably.
Okay. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company?
I haven't been there long enough to be awake at night yet.
Are you a person, do you process after work, or are you a person that sleeps fine then?
It depends. At this stage, I sleep pretty well. So
okay. And that's an accomplishment, especially if you're a mom. Yeah.
Yeah. I like
if you were to start over, let's just say your professional career, what would be the one piece of advice you give yourself?
You exchange your time for money. You don't exchange your soul for money. I think that would be a good one, because I've been down that path.
All right, that was Amber Fehrenbacher. You can check out all the work they're doing at FlowCast.ai. Amber, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Right before we end, though, I do give you the last word. So if there's anything that you want to say, if you feel like there's something that you want to talk about again that we talked about, or if something we forgot, I just want to give you the last word today. The floor is yours. Gosh,
well, I think one big thing that I think is worth mentioning that speaks really, really close to my heart, if I could just say anything, is that, I think there's a lot of things going on right now that our company has personally been affected by, which would be the entire, Asian American hate situation that we've seen. And so I would say, it'd be great if people could just be kinder. I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially in America right now, where we've made a lot of progress, but we're making a lot of like digression as well. And so I think that it'd be great if we could just have a lot more listening happen, because what I've seen a lot online is like there's a lot of talking but not a lot of listening. And this gets a little bit political, not marketing wise, but it's something that's pretty close to home, especially with our company. And our company is really diverse as well. And so yeah, I guess that would be it. I'll leave it there.
Be kind, people. Thanks for your time today, Amber.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.